the crazy thing when I look in the rearview mirror is before 2020, I'd never been on a podcast. Before 2021, I'd never been considered a coach. And before 2022, I'd never been in a mastermind. Yeah. And now my entire career is running a mastermind, coaching people through podcast guesting. So that speaks to this quantum leaps and the speed at which people can progress when you get the right help and you have an abundant mindset about what you can do.
And now here is singer-songwriter, broadcaster, audio-video artist, entertainment agent, and your host. It's the master storyteller himself, James Kevin O'Connor.
Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. Another beauty indeed. And today, if you have always wanted to be a guest on a podcast, well, the master of that technique is here today, and I get to interview him. Yes, this man, he's a serial entrepreneur and online marketing expert. He specializes in helping mission-driven solopreneurs add six figures to their bottom line by telling the right stories on the right podcasts. Everything he teaches is based on real-world experience from his clients and his own successful online businesses. He's done quite a lot in his short life. So you better strap up your seatbelts because we're taking a ride today from the Music City to Salt Lake City, Utah to hang out with Dustin Riechmann. Thank you, folks, for joining us today on Podcasting Your Global Career. Here we are in Salt Lake City with Dustin Riechmann. Now, I said it correct, right?
It's actually Riechmann, but I don't correct
Riechmann.
People. Yeah.
Oh, see, people are having a fight about it out there.
They are.
So, now I'm embarrassed because of my 20% German just fell on its face, Dustin Riechmann. So Dustin has a very, very unique and unusual approach to podcasting because he's not a podcaster, but he's a professional podcast guest. And I've never heard of anybody doing this like you're doing this.
Yeah.
I think this is a fabulous approach to business in a way that I'd never even heard of doing. So can you tell us how this first came about in your mind, as how this idea occurred to you that you were going to leverage your abilities and your, your brand as just being a guest and not even starting your own podcast?
Yeah. Well, like many things in life, it came out of adversity. Yeah. So I won't go into my whole background, but I was an engineer and I had created some online businesses and got into digital marketing in a pretty heavy way. And one of the clients I was marketing for, we ended up forming a business partnership. So I'm still a partner in a business called Fire Creek Snacks, which is basically a healthy, better for you meat stick. And I was marketing that online. And then we got into this whole world of going to trade shows, selling into, hardware stores, golf courses, kind of specialty retail. So in 2019, as an example, I was at a dozen different trade shows. And so we were selling by sampling effectively. Toe-to-toe selling is how I would describe it. And then the other part of my life was I had a bunch of marketing clients, many of which were local in my community. And so in March 2020, I was driving to Chicago from St. Louis for a trade show and was told it was canceled because of COVID.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So that was that's interesting. We've got a bunch of these scheduled. This is how we're going to grow our business this year. And then I get home and, a few days later, stuff starts rolling in. And my biggest client was a dentist. And he's shut down for 10 weeks in our state, right? And then a real estate broker, there's nothing happening. A restaurant closed. So I lost about half my clients and we didn't know what we were going to do with Fire Creek. And so that was kind of the pain part, the thing that pushed me to think differently about what I could do with marketing. And so I was stuck at home with my kids and my wife. I was like, what can I do from my computer here? And so I had been listening to podcasts for many years and enjoyed it. It just never really occurred to me that I could be a guest. I didn't know how does that even work?
Yeah.
So I just decided to give it a shot. So I found a show, or I knew of a show that I thought our story would be particularly timely for, because it was about side hustles. And so I crafted this this pitch, and I crafted it around the idea that I partnered with a local business, brought a product online, and was able to sell it online, which was a big topic at the time because a lot of the local businesses were suffering. And recorded it. It went really well. I sold some meat sticks, which is like the whole reason I got on there. I was like, oh, that was interesting. That was fun. So then I found another and another, and turns out like the first 12 shows that I reached out to all said yes.
Yeah.
And they weren't small shows, they were good shows. And I realized I had a knack for it. Basically, it was like, I'd been doing engineering for years, but in that role, I actually acted more like an attorney in a lot of ways, a lot of persuasive writing. And I knew copywriting from my digital marketing days. And I just found that this was a great marriage of those skills to get on the shows. And I was pretty rough as an interviewer at first, but through repetition, I got better at that too.
Yeah.
And so that's really what pulled me into it. I can go on from there about how it's become my whole business, but that's how I got into podcast guesting. It was really in response to COVID and trying to find a new way to get our message out.
Before I forget, the meat sticks, don't leave without selling me a few, because there's no food near my hotel.
Oh, really?
I was like going nuts. I got in late last night. I was thinking about your story and the meat sticks, and I saw you pull them out.
I'll hand you a few. I got them in my bag.
Those will come in handy, So about that story, how did you get into, like, food is you got to have a knack for that. And know it. Like, how did you get in that world?
Yeah, that was all my business partner. So
yeah.
He and there's a whole story around he and I and stuff we discovered about our families and things down the road. But the initial interaction was he opened a new butcher shop. He's a third generation owner of this family business, and he opened it in my hometown, or my town where I live now. And I actually went in the shop and I found this product, and I thought, this is a cool logo. It kind of looks like outdoorsy, campy. I was doing low carb, ketogenic diets at the time. So I found the product first, and I was like, this is awesome. So I turned it over. I was like, where is this made? It's like, it's made in Jerseyville, Illinois, which was a very small farm town where I grew up. But I left before high school. Well, I connected the dots that this guy, his main shop is in Jerseyville, Illinois. So that's how I got to know him. And eventually he hired me to actually market his brick and mortar butcher shops.
Right.
And so he's the product guy. He's the genius. He's come up with some really innovative ways to make these all natural meat snacks. We use a real hickory smokehouse. So I've grown to understand it, but I take zero credit for that.
Yeah.
My contribution has been in the marketing, the branding, and the sales. So that's still our roles. I sit in a more strategic seat now. I don't do a lot of it day to day, but yeah, I do marketing and sales. He does product and fulfillment, and it works out really well for us.
And they're tasty.
And they're extremely tasty. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you fast forward, you get this thing rolling, you get into some big stores, and the thing is just flying along.
Yeah.
But then to embellish, what you've done with that, the podcasting is like, well, you've got a product and you're going on these shows to show off the rest of your brands. Can we talk a little bit about that? How you help people in the digital marketing world, especially people who come in, like a lot of podcasters, maybe they're good broadcasters, or they might not know anything about the branding or, SEO or whatever it is. And there's all these things. They always sound like, to me, they sound scary. I mean, I've been studying them for years and falling on my face for years. So whatever you want to share, I'm sure there's a lot more people like me out there who need to hear this.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the way that one transitioned to the other was, I was just talking about meat sticks, and I got pretty good at the storytelling aspect and creative offers, and I just sounded different, I guess, than a lot of the people on the show. People resonated with our story, and they would reach out and say, "I love your story. I'd love to chat on Zoom," or "Hey, how'd you get on this show? Like, this is a really crazy offer. Like, how'd you come up with that?" And it was just completely inbound. So I didn't have a brand, a website. I'd never called myself a coach or anything until 2021. People started reaching out to me, and they started paying me to all one-on-one coaching, just like come up with a 90-day plan, marketing plan, with podcast guesting as like the central part of it, and started doing that. And so did that for about 20 individuals. That transitioned into small groups. And now the main thing I do is actually run a mastermind program, a 90-day mastermind that uses podcast guesting as the main marketing vehicle. But to your point, it's a great foundation, but it can be extremely time consuming if you're trying to do it all yourself. So we get the entrepreneur running through our framework, and I'm happy to go through the framework of how we think through this, but we get them taking ownership and running through it. Then we immediately, like right after they're really comfortable doing it, we say, okay, you're not allowed to do this part anymore. Your role in this whole thing is to show up and do the interview.
Yeah.
And we get a virtual assistant on board to actually run the day-to-day, busy work, if you will, of actually getting on the shows and pitching the shows. But from there, that's like a third of what we do is the getting the podcast guesting going. And about 2/3 of what we do is actually making sales from that or leveraging that. So we go through a process with all of our entrepreneurs on offer optimization, on creating a sales funnel that sits around these podcast guest appearances. Really big on referrals. That's how I got pulled into the mastermind model.
Yeah.
Is, I think what I teach is good. It's a great system, but every time I run a group, the feedback is, Dustin, you were great, but man, that group was really great. It's like the group is so important. And so I love to teach in that format. I'm happy to answer any specific questions, but that's kind of the transition. And that's how we think about this as far as where podcast guesting fits in the overall business growth model that we really create for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. What was your first experience with masterminding? Like way back before, like you would even entertain the idea of it. Did somebody invite you in? Did you sign up for? Like, how did it occur to you?
Yeah, it's funny as we sit here. You're not supposed to say dates on podcasts, maybe, but sitting here in April 2023, it was actually only a year ago that I was in my first mastermind.
Yeah.
And it was a very powerful experience, and in it, I learned what it can do. And I learned like the things that I really loved about it and the things that particular one didn't serve me well.
Right.
And that has informed how I run them. Right. So now I run them with my own style and with my own emphasis. But yeah, so the crazy thing when I look in the rearview mirror is before 2020, I'd never been on a podcast. Before 2021, I'd never been considered a coach. And before 2022, I'd never been in a mastermind. And now my entire career is running a mastermind, coaching people through podcast guesting. So that speaks to the quantum leaps and the speed at which people can progress when you get the right help and you have an abundant mindset about what you can do. So.
Yeah. I just had Jeff in here, Jeff Gritch, call him Gritch. And he was talking about the same thing as far as don't be a solopreneur, because it's like you're cutting yourself off. And that's a mistake I made for years, building all these silos by myself. And it's not, it doesn't allow you to grow. It really doesn't. It kind of limits your thinking. So I was here in January for this mastermind here that we're having today. And that's the first one I was ever in that the lights really went on. I said, wow, this is like, because you've got all these brilliant people from all different disciplines of life, like and business. And for somebody who's creative and artistic like myself, and to combine that with business is a rush. So you come away with so much more. What's your favorite part of your day when you're doing all the different things you're working on?
Favorite part of my week is showing up to lead mastermind calls. So, which is really, like I said, it's really bizarre, I guess, in a way. It's really surreal, probably is a better word, that, I had a really successful, I would say, engineering career, of an awesome family, been married 21 years, like so much awesome stuff in my life. But I always felt like, man, I'm not really doing, like, not quite hitting the spot of my purpose in business and like how I really want to show up. I did a bunch of consulting and I was doing one-on-one coaching, and it was all in the good bucket, but none of it felt like, this is it. And so the first time I had the courage to form a group and sell people and have them come into the group and have that confidence, it was, the middle of last year. It was like, after the first meeting, I'm like, that was it. It was like such an adrenaline rush. Like, it's the one place I feel like I can show up and utilize all of the really bizarre skills and abilities that, I feel like God has granted me through my life. So, it's like, I can pull from engineering stuff. I've done high ticket, like consulting and engineering sales. I have an e-commerce company. I have a course and membership site company. I've done ministry. I've had clients in really every vertical and of every size. I've done in-person stuff, virtual stuff. And so because of that, I think the part I love is like kind of this hot seat feeling of someone's got an issue, and I know I can pull some arrow out of the quiver from some of that experience and help them. And then by doing that, it frees up other people's thoughts, and then everyone starts helping them. And then you get what they call the mastermind effect, that the sum of the parts is greater. It's greater than the
body.
Yeah, there you go. Then the body. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm flubbing over my favorite analogy.
It's so true, though. That really happens. I mean, we witnessed it here today when you get on a roll, and the room might even get quiet for a moment or two, and then all of a sudden somebody will suggest something, and then people just start, piling on.
Yeah.
And then, the ideas, they start down this way, and they start to like ping pong all over the place, and like, wow, I never thought of that. That's the perfect client for you. I got somebody, and it's infectious.
It is,
and it's infectious in a way of, it's the total motivation is people truly want to help one another. And I think that's the best part of it.
And that's the key. And I think that's why I've had such a rich experience. And one of the things I learned in my first mastermind experience, one of the really positive things I learned is the host, like on the very first meeting, is like, look, my job was to curate a really great group. And at this point, I'm going to lead the group and facilitate the group, but this isn't about me. This is about the group.
Yeah.
But the leading part of that, I've taken that to heart. So I'm pretty selective. Like when I have a group, I make sure that everyone in there is a giver. Everyone in there gets joy from helping other people. That is most people, I feel, but it's not everybody.
Yeah.
So one bad apple can definitely spoil the bunch.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's super critical. And then the way I run things, I like the diversity. So I work with all mission-driven entrepreneurs, many of which are one-man shows, one-woman shows, or they have small teams. They're successful. They're often doing six figures, but they're looking to add another six figures or have a bigger impact in a different way. And then most of them are coaches and consultants. So you'd say, well, with all that, they're like the same people. No, like any given group of 12 to 15 people, none of them do the same thing. And that's on purpose, because I want to facilitate referrals. There should be no competitiveness. So I don't want to have two people who train people on LinkedIn. I want one LinkedIn expert, maybe a digital marketing expert, a copywriter, and like you get these, and then, health coach, and people from different walks of life see things differently. And it's like the spirit of collaboration is just can't miss when you get those kind of people in the room.
Right.
And that's my big joy professionally, is showing up and knowing I'm going to open a Zoom call, have everyone showed up, engaged, smiling. I had to miss a little bit of this adventure this morning because I was running my call.
Yeah.
And that's non-negotiable for me. I had to be there.
Right.
And man, I came in here smiling because there's some great breakthroughs. People were very excited leaving the call this morning. And I know that if that's all I did this week, like what a win. So yeah.
When I saw you walk in, I had, I said, I know this guy, but I don't remember where. And it was your resume last night. I was reading, of course, all about you. Yeah. So tell me about the frequency of your mastermind. How often is it? Is it like once a week, or how often do you do this?
Yeah. So it's called the Podcast Profits Accelerator. So in that particular program, we actually meet twice a week. And it's on purpose to really drive intimacy and really get people fast results. But one of those days, Thursday morning, is a 90-minute call. That's our true mastermind call.
Yeah.
I can talk about the components of that, but that's once a week. And on Monday afternoons, I have what we call an optional Q&A call. But everyone comes to it, and it's like all hot seat sessions and group Q&A. And honestly, I think people love that call just as much, if not more, than Thursday, because it's very free form, but it's very high energy, because there's there's nothing to learn, there's nothing to implement. We're just there to like solve problems for each other. Twice a week. And that's the current accelerator. And something I'm introducing that I'm like really excited about is a 1-day boot camp. So not unlike what we're doing here live. Yeah. This will be in person, or this will be virtual, at least to start. And in 1 day, entrepreneurs will show up. It'll be a mastermind. So I'll facilitate 10 to 12 people in 1 day. And the idea is that we'll find you 5 profitable podcasts that really match your business and your goals. We'll co-create a winning pitch for those so you can get on those shows. We will optimize your call to action, or your lead magnet, the thing you like to leave people with at the end of the show. I'll coach you through how to show up and be a really engaging guest, but also pull out the right stories to have an emotional connection, pull out the right credibility markers to give yourself, credence and really lead to sales from this, not just the interviews. And so then we have a capstone event at the end of the day where I've got a panel of group experts, mostly podcast hosts, but some PR professionals, people like that, kind of like Shark Tank style. So each of these people have a few minutes to pitch themselves, take what they've actually created during the day and say, this is who I am. This is what I want to talk about on your show.
Right.
And hopefully get on the shows, but at least get constructive feedback so that they can like prove that it actually is working.
Yeah. So
I'm excited about that. It's like a 1-day super mastermind on, like you get a lot of results quickly. And then, if people love it and they're like, I love this experience, then they'd have the option to get into my like ongoing group, which is more, it still uses podcast guesting, but it's those bigger things I talked about: offer optimization, sales funnels, referrals. It's that like larger sales engine.
Yeah.
But yeah. The 1-day virtual boot camp, that's going to, I think, become my new favorite thing. So.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. I've done different versions of it, so I know I can deliver it.
Yeah. So it's been through beta and it's almost there.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Best place for people to connect to you. Where would you like them to go?
Yeah. My home base is simplesuccesscoaching.com.
Okay.
They go there, they can get on our email list and find out about all this stuff. I'll be talking about the boot camps, a lot here in the coming weeks. And the other place I'm really active is LinkedIn.
Okay.
So if they put in my some version of my last name, they'll probably find me. But
Riechmann.
Dustin Riechmann. It's Riechmann. So I love LinkedIn. I'm on there pretty much every day posting, and it's usually about these kind of marketing partnership ideas, strategies, case studies, podcast guesting, of course, being part of that. So simplesuccesscoaching.com. If people are listening and they really want to learn how to pitch podcasts the way that we do it, I've got podcastpitchplaybook.com. I violate my own rules because I always give multiple calls to action. You're not supposed to do that. But I like to just meet people where they're at. So if they just want some good help, go to my main site. But if you're like, I want to get a hold of that pitch, I got a free version of that training, which is podcastpitchplaybook.com. And that's like over the shoulder, me writing pitches and showing how to do it and how I do it. And then I've actually got 3 real emails I've sent to get on good podcasts that they can copy and paste and, obviously customize to their own needs. So.
Wow. Full of all kinds of action steps for you folks here. Take advantage of this. Just in wrapping up, any last minute thing you want to say to somebody out there who's a proposed client, who's on the fence, maybe they have a business, maybe they're starting a business, about adopting these principles, what could you say to them to get them over the line? Yeah,
I would say, if it's over the line of coming into my world and trying out, what we do, everything we do is 100% satisfaction guarantee. Everyone that enrolls in our accelerator has 100% ROI guarantee, meaning for the period that you sign up, you will make your money back and more, or I'll work with you until you do. So it's kind of like no risk because I really enjoy what I do and it's really effective. But if you're more like, is podcast guesting even an appropriate channel for me? I had this discussion earlier with someone. They're like, well, what stage in business would this be appropriate? And I was like, it may sound self-serving, but really from the beginning, because one of the best ways to get clarity about what you do, who you help, what your offers should be, is to get interviewed about it multiple times. Yeah. And then take cues from that host, because the host is a reflection of their audience. And if the host is leaning in and saying, ooh, tell me more about that, or can you repeat that? That was really good. Like those are indications that those are your hooks. Those are your taglines. Those are maybe the products you should be focused on. And you just can't go hide in the closet and figure this stuff out. That's what a lot of people try to do. So even if you're not really confident in your message yet, like go out and get some reps in and start podcast guesting for that reason. And then, once you see some momentum and you're ready to be more serious and put some strategy behind it and make sure that it gets you business growth, hit me up, because that's what I love to do. It's my passion. So
awesome. Dustin Riechmann, pleasure to have you on Podcasting Your Global Career. Really, thanks for being here today. And I just want to wish all God's blessings on you, your family, and your career moving forward.
Awesome. I super appreciate being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, if you guys like what's going on here, please leave a great review in the Apple Podcasts. I've left a simple review process in the show notes, and we'd really appreciate it. And also, don't be shy. Forward this to your best friend because you know they need it. Hey, if you need some coaching, hit up the link in the show notes. It's calendly.com/Dharmic. And you can take a little chance with me, and I'll get you on your way. That's a wrap for me today. I'm your host, James Kevin O'Connor. So until the next time when we meet again, I'll either see you on the socials or I'll see you from the stage.
Ride on, baby, won't you take ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. If wishes were windows, I'd open one and find that freedom is really a simple state of mind. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. I taste the breeze of freedom, it's tingling on my tongue. You and I out on the road will stay forever young. We'll stay forever young. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. I'll take you places that you've never seen. I'll take you places that you never dreamed. I'll take you places that were pictures in your mind. I'll take you places beyond the reach of time. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. So won't you take a ride with me? Come on and take a ride with me. Want you to take